Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Katie, for that kind introduction. I'm delighted to welcome you all to Dublin, and particularly to welcome you here to CrokePark, the home of Gaelic Games. We have a capacity of 82,300, and we are the fourth largest stadium in Europe. The national stadium for our own indigenous games, and I'll show you some videos of those in a few minutes. But we also have other sports like soccer and rugby, and next year we hope to host an NFL game as well. We see ourselves as a major concert venue, so this year we hosted Bruce Springsteen, AC/DC, which was one of the great guitar riffs at the end, went on for about 20 minutes, loved it, and Coldplay, which was over 4 days, just like a really fabulous, immersive experience. We operate a very successful conference and event center, and over the course of the 2 days, I'd love feedback. So if there's anything that we think you could do to improve what we do or what you like, please let us know, or any of the team that'll be floating around. We also have an award-winning museum dedicated to our games and to the social history of Ireland. The museum welcomes about 150,000 visitors a year. That includes stadium tours and our own very special rooftop tour, Skyline. So I urge all of you during breaks, whatever you can, get across and have a look through the museum. It's well worth the visit. Anyway, it's a huge privilege to be asked to deliver the keynote address at this conference today. I intend to use the opportunity to talk about our sustainability journey here in CrokePark, and also the recent refurbishment of the east stand of the stadium, which you'll see later on this evening. But firstly, it'd be remiss of me not to thank Katie for taking this prestigious conference to CrokePark. Katie is an industry veteran. She's presided over the industry magazine, Pan Stadia and Iridium Management, and now this is our latest venture, SportsVenueBusiness, which is still less than a year old, and 250 people here. Congratulations, Katie. Our industry absolutely needs people like Katie. Someone with that kind of balance of the great diplomat who can bring us all together and we can exchange and talk about ideas, and also create that little bit of rivalry in the room. And rivalry is really, I think, what makes sports such a compelling work environment. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil by trying to describe what our games are like, because any attempt by me now is going to do a disservice. So we're just going to roll a video and give you a sense of our games and a bit of look at CrokePark. So that will be next year, the Great Oasis. As you can see, though, hurling there is very special. It has a history that goes back thousands of years, fastest field sport in the world. National Geographic has described our All-Ireland hurling final as the experience of a lifetime. So I urge you all to try and come back and see hurling here live in Croke Park, and it would be fantastic. So I said to you, later on this evening, you're going to be taken on a tour of our new conference facilities on the east stand of the stadium, the Cusack Stand. So in redeveloping this area, we had a couple of objectives, and it'd be interesting to see if you think that we achieved on those. The first was to increase our serviceable conference space. So we've gone from the ability to use one space at a time to delivering 3 spaces operating independently. So it's really tripled our potential business footprint. We also wanted to celebrate the GA volunteer. That's a core value of the association here. This side of the stadium that you're sitting in now is dedicated to players and is named fittingly after Tipperary player Michael Hogan. Now, Michael was tragically shot playing football here over 100 years ago during what I probably best describe as a horrendous chapter in our history. We call it Bloody Sunday. In contrast, Michael Cusack, our founder, after whom the East Stand is named, was the quintessential volunteer. So he would represent all of the parents and coaches and referees that go out every Saturday and Sunday and take all the children for our 700,000 membership out to play and enjoy themselves. So we sought to achieve recognition for Michael and all of our volunteers with an iconography that's dedicated to them, and hopefully you'll see that later on. We also, and you appreciate this when you're running venues, we wanted to reduce the noise associated with service provision, you know, food trolleys going up or servicing coffees and teas and so on. And I think we achieved that by creating an all-glazed meeting area. So the 3 rooms that we've carved out are all glazed. So you can see in and out of them. They don't look dark and foreboding, but it does cut the noise of servicing going up and down. And then very strongly, we want to improve our BR rating. That's more efficient light and heat solutions and a better insulated space. We improved access by adding another lift block, which was an extraordinary feat of engineering. We had to take a staircase when you're going up the number of stories these fellas had to go up. It was a wonder it got done, but anyway, it did. And also the big thing, which you'll see when you go in there, is the reveal. Heretofore, when the stadium was first built, the look out to the pitch was blocked off. And we felt that, no, what you needed to do when you come into any stadium, the first thing you should see is the pitch, because that's where everything happens. So our total investment there was 14 million. We believe, based on the reaction of our clients to date, has been money well spent. And really interested to get your own reaction when you get across there later on. The second thing I wanted to talk about was sustainability. As you know, we have many environmental problems, and they're all generating a momentum towards climate warming. So, for example, I mean, how are we going to dispose of all that mountains of waste that we generate every year? A good example, and I mean, you're not maybe aware of this, but is the proliferation of single-use plastic. And they're very, very common across venues like ourselves and everywhere else. There is a plastic island floating in the Pacific Ocean. It holds some 11 million tons of plastic waste, and it covers the area the size of France. You might not know, and I was shocked to find out, that fresh water only makes up 2.5% of the total volume of the world's water. And the weird thing is that that water we drink today has been around since the dinosaurs rolled the planet, maybe millions of years ago. Yet we continuously misuse water. We pollute our waterways, we conspire to change the whole global hydrological cycle. Population growth. In 2023, the world's population was estimated at 8 billion. You only have to go back to 1928 when it was 2 billion. Forestry, that great regulator of CO2, used for photosynthesis, and yet between 1970 and 2002, forest cover has dwindled by 12% across the planet. And we're depleting all of our resources. A key element like phosphorus, for example, it can't be replaced, but it's key in the manufacture of fertilizers, and that's been rapidly depleted. Biodiversity, and this one really I think is frightening. Do you know that 94% of global mammal biomass, excluding humans, is livestock? 71% of global bird biomass is poultry livestock. And yet we still have food scarcity. Estimated by 2050, the world's population growth will require a 56% increase in food supply. And yet today we waste 930 million tons of food per annum. We're also majorly dependent on certain food groups. Maize, wheat, rice, potatoes, they make 60% of the total calories we consume as humans. Fossil fuels, which we consume wantonly in this pursuit of consumer-driven growth. In many ways, capitalism is totally out of control. Anyway, you wonder what can we all do? We've tried a few things. We spent some time measuring our carbon footprint, and based on data from 2022, where we welcomed 1.58 million people to CrokePark, our carbon footprint was 90,000 tons of CO2 equivalent. Now, that seems a huge number, and it is, and how can we try and reduce that according to the Paris Agreement? Just to put it in context, if you to look at the total carbon footprint of China, that represents 227 seconds, about the time to boil an egg. About 40% was derived from the provision of food and beverage, and about 60% from fan travel. Most people do not measure fan travel when they're looking at their carbon footprint. So I'm just going to give you a couple of brief moments of our journey to going green. It's not quite the hippie and tree hugger, but it is about establishing a sustainable, balanced, and very importantly, profitable business that meets the objectives of our wide group of stakeholders that we are responsible to. Our stakeholders will be our own GA membership. They're effectively our shareholders, our employees here, fans, the local community, everyone that lives around the stadium, our supply chain, national, local government, and most importantly, the environment. What we've done for water harvesting, we've built 2 new tanks. You may have seen them if you're looking across over the pitch to the right of the stadium there, there's some cranes. That's going to hold, when they open in a couple of weeks' time, 1 million litres of water. So bring on the rain, it's great. That means that we will no longer use potable water to irrigate our pitch. The interesting thing too is back in 2014, one of the teams suggested, why are we flushing all of the urinals every hour, every day, 365 days of the year? So we stopped. We only flushed them on match days. That saved 3 million litres of water per annum. We're very proud of our zero to landfill status, and we've achieved that and maintained it since 2014. Now, what does that mean? Between 2014 and 2023, we produced just over 4,000 tons of waste, and all of that was diverted from landfill. So we've either been recycled or reused or recovered. We've also reduced our total waste since 2014 by 45%. I'm a big fan of biodiversity. On the east of the stadium, we have a bug hotel. Doesn't mean much to us adults in the room, but children love it. We have planted for pollinators. We have bird cages in every single tree that's there. We installed Swift boxes on new buildings that we put there, the new handball centre, and that encourages the nesting of swifts, which are an endangered species in Ireland. We have a farm too, which I'll touch on later, where we have wildflowers for pollinators, a number of beehives where we produce honey, which we serve in the stadium here, polytunnels for fruit and veg growth, and a small orchard of 30 apple and pear trees. And we're going to install some bat boxes at the southern side of the stadium, where we have a colony living there at the moment. Earlier this year, and we're really proud of the ingenuity of the chefs here, but we introduced a 50-mile menu. Ostensibly, that was to reduce our food travel distance and to focus on seasonal produce. So now, 85% of our ingredients are sourced on the island of Ireland, and 70%, and this is really ingenious, are within a 50-mile radius of CrokePark. 95% of our food and beverage carbon footprint is associated with beef and beef burgers. We are targeting a 30% reduction in beef consumption. We're going to replace menus with tastier, lower carbon footprint products derived from fish and chicken staples, some innovative vegetarian options. We're taking all of our inspiration from the new band of Asian restaurants, street food restaurants, which are opened in Dublin. Absolutely fantastic places. And again, if you're here for a couple of days, well worth a walk through. Other things to look at are, when you're setting up a venue, do you really need fresh flowers on the table? We have linen tablecloths today, but they're not great. What about napkins? What about single-use plastics? To just bring it back again. I mentioned our pitch farm. This morning we looked out across CrokePark there. You see we're set up for a sellout rugby game at the weekend. Just over a month ago, that was just a sandy top when Coldplay had finished. So we replaced the turf from our own pitch farm in North County Dublin. So that significantly reduces the travel time and the risk crossing the Irish Sea, but also adds immeasurably to our sustainability objectives. We're in the process of installing a 10 megawatt solar farm there. It's going through planning at the moment. The stadium here uses 5.5 megawatts, so we'll more than reach our Scope 1, Scope 2 Paris Agreement target emissions for 2030. In that sense, we were aligned to the United Nations and FCCC Sport for Climate Action Plan, and we are committed to achieving a zero position, net zero by 2050, but I'd be very concerned that will we be able to do that with the way fan travel is such a dominant part of our carbon footprint. So maybe just to bring some thoughts to conclude, as sports venue professionals, I believe we have an audience that we can act as exemplars. Our finals here attract 82,300. We have a TV audience of 2 million. That's on a population of 5.5, that's huge. So any messages we can put out through CrokePark really do land. If you look at FIFA, claim a fan base of 4 billion. That's half the world's population. So imagine if they really took it seriously on climate change. We've seen that, that horrible waiting for the hurricane across in Florida this morning. The key point here is Mother Nature does not negotiate. And if we don't do some changes, we are going to head for a catastrophe. I'm kind of struck, you're probably saying in the room here, well, what can we do? We're kind of like, we're all pretty small, we're not big petro giants here or anything like it. But what I would say, I don't know, you've all been in a room on holidays, and you're just about to doze off, and you hear that zzz, and it stops. That mosquito's gonna bite me or bite somebody else in the room. So the first thing you do is you get up and you hunt the whole room to see if you can find that little critter. Small can be very, very powerful. All of you in this room are, you're the sports industry's leading influencers. So please use that influence. Don't greenwash. Young consumers, they're not idiots, but they are radical. Try and harness their enthusiasm. Be mosquitoes. Thank you very much.